Welcome, everybody. We'll get started here. Welcome to the effective usage of Primo Analytics reports and dashboards. My name is Paul McBride. I'm the Senior Technical Analyst on the North American Primo Tier 2 support team. It's quite a mouthful. Excuse me. I help answer cases that come in for support for Primo. North America, we also support some down systems and pitch in with the other support teams as needed. Today, we're going to be talking about Primo Analytics. I'm going to show quite a few demos, mostly in the reporting end of it. We'll show some of the documentation and training that's available on the Knowledge Center. There's a lot out there, it's very good. And we'll also take a look at scheduling some analytics. I know my colleague Jean, she may not have gotten to the scheduling part during her introduction session, so we'll take a look at it today. And I'm going to kind of move a little swiftly through my introduction slides, just because I really want to spend the bulk of the time on the demos. Occasionally they can take long, so we're just going to move right on ahead. So basics, what are Primo Analytics? Primo Analytics is the reporting piece within Primo, allows you to analyze the activities that happen within Primo. It's based on the Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition platform. We call it OBI. Coming soon, we're going to be transitioning to Oracle Analysis Server. Right now we use version 11 of OBI. There was a pilot program as we started to implement OBI 12. Well, then in January, Oracle released their next evolutionary step, calling it OAS. So we've had to kind of retool our plans, and stay tuned for more information there. There's a little bit on the Knowledge Center about it, and we'll take a look at that a little later as well. So what are reports? We all know what reports are. That's why we're here. So we'll move on. Dashboards. This might be a little newer topic to some people. Here's a sample dashboard in this little screenshot here. A dashboard, I like to think of it as a photo album that holds photos. And in this case, your photos would be the individual reports. So it's really just a mechanism to display your reports. Just like a photo album, you can have multiple pages. In this dashboard here, you can see the pages are these tabs across the top of the screen. You can also have multiple reports per page. This graph and table is one report. This graph and table on the bottom, this is another report. And if we could scroll on this screenshot, there's probably more still underneath here. You can only have one if you want, or you can have more than one. You can share them with other users, and you can import shared reports into your dashboard. So there are two main implementation styles of Primo. There's a Primo with a back office. Sometimes in support, we call this a classic Primo. It's been around the longest. And there's also the Primo V implementation of Primo. They both use the exact same analytics engine underneath. You access them in different ways. In the main menu in the back office, there's a Primo Analytics option and a scheduling option. In Primo V, you log into Alma, and there's an analytics option at the very top ribbon. And in there is an option for analytics for Alma and analytics for Primo, as well as creating the scheduling objects that you need for scheduling. This is what that menu looks like in Alma. Here's the Primo option. This one here is the Alma option. Here's your creating analytics objects if you have the role to do so. Now the analytics administrator can create analytics and can schedule them. The design role can only create them, they can't schedule them. So at this point, we're going to jump right in to our demos. And as long as I've landed right here on the Knowledge Center homepage, I just wanted to show you very quickly where we'll revisit this later, but I want to show you where these uh, knowledge stage sessions are. Um, when you scroll through the products to come to the cross product category, click on that. Cross products are things that apply to more than one Ex Libris product. And here we have a conferences and seminars tile and an option for knowledge days for Eluna. Click on knowledge days and go to 2020. And here is the list of recordings and presentations for the sessions that have already preceded us. So we will jump back to the main Knowledge Center page, and I will sign in and begin some of my examples. So here when we are in Alma, we're going to go down to Design Analytics for Primo, and we're here in Oracle Business Intelligence, OBI. And we land on the catalog page. We can see the keyword catalog here is bolded, word catalog here. This is very similar to your File Explorer in Windows. This shows you the folders you have and the contents of each folder and some actions you can do on the item that's highlighted. If I wanted to copy this and paste it to another folder, I could come down here and select copy and so on. On the folders end, we start off with a My Folders area. The My Folders area is unique to my user ID. I'm the only one that can see it. There's also shared folders. Now, typically, there's 3 folders in here. The first one, Primo, is those are the out-of-box Primo reports and dashboards provided by Ex Libris. The Primo community, these are ones that are contributed by the community. So there's a lot in here. If we look down here in reports, there's tons of different reports in here that the community have added. You can add to this. You can also peruse this, and the next time you need to make an analysis, take a look in here. It's possible somebody's already done it. There's usually a third folder here that's unique to your institution and is only available to those that belong to your institution. Now, last night while I was doing some of my samples here, I was trying to clean them up and I accidentally deleted that folder. So I have to get that fixed. So I was not able to do that just yet. We'll work around it. The key points for the institutional folder are you need to use the institutional folder if you want to schedule a report or a dashboard. You need to copy it into your institutional folder and then you'll be able to schedule it. Also, when you want to make a dashboard, you need to have the reports that you want in the institutional folder. So if you originally created it in your My folder, you can just copy it out of My folder and paste a copy into your institutional folder. This means I'm not going to be able to give a demo of scheduling, but we'll take a closer look at it just the same and show you what we have. And for dashboard, I have another system that I can use for a dashboard, but it does have less data than this system, so I'm not using it for the whole session. So right now, let's create a report. We go over here to New, and the first option is Analysis. Now, for our purposes here, our reports are called Analyses. Now, there's a report down here. Why don't we use this? Well, this is an Oracle product. And Ex Libris's implementation just doesn't use these features. So it uses analyses. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll click on that. Now these are the different subject areas within Primo. I want to point out the PNX records and the Primo pipes. These 2 subject areas are only available to those of you with classic Primo implementation with a back office. These do not apply to Primo V users. You can see them here. They just don't apply for you. So I'm going to use the facet usage subject area, my samples, and now we're taken into the editor here, and we start off in the criteria view, and here's where we pick out our columns. So here's the subject area, my facet usage subject area. I'm going to go and open up, I want month, double click on it. I want the facet type, I can double click on it or I can drag it. And up here from the facet usage area, I want my facet value. I want the number of times a facet has been selected, so basically the count. This is a measure. This icon, it's hard to see because it's small, but this icon is a little ruler, and it's called a measure. It's a count. Add that. I want to add the number of sessions when a facet has been used. So we'll do that. Now, I've got a good basic report here. If you want to take a peek at how this looks with the data, you can just click on the results tab. It runs it. Here's our sample. Looks nice. We can see that there's a little bit of white space here. That's because all of these rows have the same value. And right now, by default, it's set to suppress the repeating values. It kind of splits it up visually, makes it a little bit easier to look at. You can turn that off if you want. You can turn it off for all fields at once, or you can turn it off for just one field. And I can show you that in a minute. Actually, we'll just show you that here. So on this, by the way, this is called a view, and which means that it's a way to view your data. And this view happens to be a table. So we come over here to this button here, and this is properties of this view. So let's check those properties. Now this one is called row styling, and repeat cell values is unchecked. So let's actually repeat those cell values, and we hit OK. And there you go. Now you can see that all the values are filled in. September 2017, top level, and so on and so forth. So you can come in here and you can actually edit this alternating styling is what it's called, the row styling. And if you want to change the color, I know yellow is a common color. People like that. You can come in here and pick a color. Hit OK. Hit OK again. And now we've got yellow bars separating every other row. Now, if we want to put it back the way it was, we just uncheck it. And we're back. Now let's go back to our criteria. Now suppose we want to add another column that's a calculation. That's not exactly from the data, but a calculation of the data. So the best way to do that, just add another column and edit that column. So we're going to add sessions again. And we're going to change this. Each field, you'll notice each column has this little options button. So we want to go to the options button for this last one here, and we're going to edit that formula. Now, this is no longer going to be sessions when we're done with it. So let's customize that heading, and we're going to change this to, see, I've done this before. We're going to call it average facet per session. Now we're going to come down here to our formula. Just going to clear that out. And because by default, these are integer values, and we want to do more decimal math, floating point math. So we're going to start off by multiplying by 1.0. And then we're going to take facets selected. That's our count of facets. And then we're going to divide. And pick another column by the number of sessions. And that's it. We've got our formula. We'll hit OK. Now, as I mentioned before, by default, it wants to display integers. So we need to customize this field to display the decimals. So that would be the column properties. So we click there, and then this is the data format. Now here, we want to override the default, which is integer. We want to add 2 decimal places. All right. Now let's take a look at our progress. Actually, first I want to save this. Save it to my folders area, and I'm going to call it so original falls facets. Let's check our results. And here we have it. We have our average number of facets per session. See a lot of ones. It's because it's test demo data here, but there's a few other ones. So there we have it. So also from this layout, let's say we want to add some totals onto this. To do that, we're going to edit this view, the view of this table. We're going to add in some summaries here. So there's a summation for the whole table. So that'll give us the grand total. So let's pick that one. And we want it to appear after the table. So if we scroll all the way down, there it is. Grand total is now there. So let's also include a subtotal here for every month. So we have a month column. It has a sum button, totals button. We pick on that. And let's also pick after there. Now we can pick, we're done editing this for now. And I'll save it again. Now you can see we've got every month now has a total. So I think that's pretty cool. So let's go back to our criteria here. And now that we've got our nice calculated column here, let's say we want to save this column so that we don't have to go through that trouble of creating it again in the future. You can do that. You can save it. I'm going to save it in the My Folders area, and it automatically applies the name of the column to it. That's fine. So we'll save that. Now that will appear down here in this section. And here it is, average facet per session. So the next time I want to build a table, if I want, I can just open up these folders and then I can drag this or double click it and add it right on over here as a selected column. So one other thing that we might want to do on our report is maybe we want to call out some specific values. Like maybe we want to highlight values that are high or highlight values that are low for some reason. So we can do that, and that's called a conditional format. So we do that. We'll pick the facet selected column, and we're going to go here into column properties. And there's a tab called conditional format. We're going to add a condition, and our condition is going to be based on the number of facets selected. So when the facet selected is greater than 10, let's highlight it. Now we do that. Well, let's change a background color. Let's pick green. Let's do low too. So let's add, I want to see, we'll do a specific one also on facets selected. Let's do it when there's exactly 2. And for this one, we're going to pick orange. Okay. Now we have that. Let's check it. Hey, look, facets selected. The ones that are 2 are now orange. Ones that are greater than 10 are now green. And it's pretty cool. Now, if we want, maybe it would be easier if both the facet selected and the facet value column were both conditionally formatted. Go back to the criteria, save it really quick. And you basically repeat the same exact steps for facet value. Now again, we're basing it on the facets selected when it's greater than 10. And we had that as being green. Facet selected again when it was equal to 2. We had that one as orange. And we can check it again. And there we have it. It makes it a little bit easier to read, but it calls out some highs and low values if I wanted to do it that way. Now we can also see that we have many different facet types here, and our dates are going all the way back to 2017. Let's suppose we wanted to narrow that down a bit. Go back to our criteria here. And that's called a filter, adding a filter. So let's create a filter for the month. Let's pick it for when it is greater than or equal to, how about January 1st of 2020? And then if we want, we will add a second one for the facet type. And this one, yeah, equal to, and we just want, resource type is a good one. Now we have 2 filters here. So we view our results. Save it really quick. And here we go. Now our oldest month here is January 2020. And the only resource type we're showing is the resource type. Neat way to filter it down. But what if we want to have an interactive option? And we don't want to just have one static filter or 2 static filters. Well, we can delete these very simply, and we can add a prompt so that our user can pick the criteria of the filter at will. So we'll go up here to prompts, and then we'll click on the green plus to create a new one. And we'll add one for the month. I like to pick in between, so I can pick a range, and that'll give me the little calendar buttons here. And then if we want to add a second one, we can add the facet type. And again, we want to pick what's in the choice. We'll give a choice list. Now this one, here's some extra options we have. We want to be able to type it in. Just pick And let's give them a default value, specific value here. Add a specific value, and then these are all the ones that we can pick from. Pick author as our default. And this is what it would look like. This is the mock-up of what it would look like. Now, save this again. If we were to click on results, we wouldn't see this prompt. You'll only see the prompts when you run this report. And when I say run the report, I mean run it from the catalog or run it from a dashboard. So let's go to the catalog real quick and let's run this. So here we see it listed in my folders, Pulse Facets, and we open it. That's how you run it. And here's our prompt. So let's go back to 2019, October 1st, sure. And we'll wrap it around to March 10th of 2020. And then we can pick as many as we want. We'll leave author in there, and I still like my resource type. So I'm going to add that. And we hit OK. Now our report is restricted to just those values. So there we go. So go back to the catalog. Say I want to edit it some more. Just edit it. And let's make a graph out of it. Let's see. So this view is a table. So let's just add another view. A graph is another way to view our data. So we'll add a view. And then this page with the little plus star up here in the corner, that's our new icon. So there's lots of different kinds of graphs to pick from. You can also pick best visualization, and you can let OBI kind of pick for you. Let's see if I can do, I did one of these earlier. Let's see if I can do again a horizontal. And it puts your charts down below. So I want to move it up over here. So it created by default with some prompts on it. I can specify a month. I can specify a very specific facet value, sorry. But let's say I want to change that. So let's edit this view. So down here, we can move, we can just drag and drop things around here. If we want to remove something, we can drag it down to this excluded area. Do that, and let's see. I had this set up by, see, I had this one over here, this one over here. Move that one. Uh, have it reversed. There we go. Now, every month you can see every kind of facet type that was represented. We're going to pick. Now, compiling that. Now there's one last thing I wanted to show you how to do here. And right now, if I hover over, it'll tell me what the specific value is. So what if you just want to display that value? Now, this is getting very busy, and we'll filter it in just a minute. But we go under the properties of our graph, under the titles, and it's called data markers. We edit the data markers, and by default, it's on rollover mode. Let's put it on always. Hit OK, and now it's going to show the numbers. So again, it's very noisy, but just hold on a sec. So I just saved it. Let's go back into our catalog. Remember, we have a prompt on here. So let's run it. We're going to pick something much closer. February 1st, 2020 to May 1st of 2020. And we'll uncheck author, and we'll go use my resource type again. We'll hit OK. And here we have, for the months that we picked, we can see exactly how many resource type facets were clicked in that month. So I think this looks really good now. So if we wanted to, we could add this into a dashboard. And for that, I'm going to quickly click over to another window. Go up into analytics. And here this is my institution under reports. Here I have a sample report. So let's make a dashboard. Up here, new and dashboard. It will pop up a prompt for me to give it a name, make a folder. Eventually, here it is. So I'm going to use the OSO original name. All's dashboard. And I'm going to leave it in my institutional folder. It's going to bring up my canvas here. My dashboard canvas, so I can drop in some content. I'm going to navigate my catalog folders here to go into the reports. And here's my facets. Drag it over. I can also add another one. I can add John's actions. Now from here, we save this really quick. We can run it. Now this report, I didn't have a graph on it. It was just a table, but you can see here's my report. And we scroll down and here's the second report for John's actions. And like I said, this report only has the one page, but if I wanted to add more pages, I could add more pages and those would appear up here as tabs. I could click on a tab and go to that page. And that's really the basics behind the dashboards. Now let me minimize this one and come back over here. Just checking my notes quickly. Let's go back to the catalog here. Now let's switch gears for a minute. We're going to talk about some of the documentation and training resources. You can see that just from these links, Classic Primo, there's a section of guides and there's a section of training videos, and the same for Primo V. Now, the great news is that most of the materials behind these pages are the same for both Primo and Primo V, which is intentional because Primo Analytics is the same. So that's really great. And we have a little bit of information here on Oracle Analytics. Oh, this scheduling. So Classic Primo has an actual training video for scheduling, but there isn't one listed in here for Primo V because the method is a little bit different and it's also a little bit of a newer process. But it uses the exact same scheduling mechanism as Alma, and there is a video for Alma. So I've been talking with Ray, and we're going to thinking of adding a link from Primo to this video. But in the meantime, you can access it from this page, or you can just go into Alma's analytics training, and it's right there available. You can view it. Also, we have a resource on the Ex Libris Developers Network. Joel Kortik, our Ex Libris' chief librarian, he is heavily involved with the OAS project, and he has many articles on the tech blog that talk about analytics topics and OAS topics. So there's a little bit of overlap here from these two topics, but he has some walkthroughs, and there are some videos also in training for Primo V. There's a couple training videos that deal with some OAS topics, a new component called data visualization, which is very exciting. Well, let's dive in and check some out. From here, let's go start by going into Primo. We'll go take a look at Primo V, and we want to go under Documentation, Primo V. Scroll down a bit, we get to Primo V Analytics. Let's go in there. Now this is an overview page that has a brief introduction, and then you get into the scheduling. And before you can schedule something in Primo V and Alma, you have to create an analytics object. So this section tells you how to create an analytics object. It's basically you fill out this form here, and it's nice because This form, all these fields are nicely explained here, exactly what's intended to be put in every form. You can put it, you can make a scheduled report, you can make a widget, a scheduled dashboard. You can have a file FTP'd to another server. You can have a PDF file generated, an Excel file generated, or just plain text. You can have configure the email notifications that it will send out. And they do this so that everybody isn't scheduling a million reports all willy-nilly. Some of the reports would be the same on a server. This way, when the objects are set up, you predefine the schedules, you predefine everything, and then you just subscribe to it once it's set up. And literally, it's just flipping the switch for an object once that object has been created. Let's go. Going forward here, to get to the more information about Primo Analytics, we click this link, which actually takes us into the regular Primo guides, because again, the rest of it is the same. So this overview page, on this page, notice our breadcrumbs were now in Primo instead of Primo V. But this overview page takes you into some of the terminology that OBI uses for the different areas. And it tells you how to schedule reports in Classic Primo with the back office. And again, it's the same basic form, used very similar, it's asking for similar information, and it explains what is needed in each field. We also have an explanation of what's contained in the out-of-box dashboards. We have a deeper explanation into each of the subject areas. It breaks them down, explains what's in all the fields. So that's really helpful. Now, my favorites here were Primo Analytics and common Primo Analytics procedures. I think everything that I did in today's session is in these two sections. There's some very step-by-step parts here, and it tells you what's needed in each field, gives you some more background about the OBI interface, and it's great. These are very good instructions. The common Primo Analytics procedures has some more of these advanced things. There's a few topics in here that I couldn't include for time. Using a case statement is one of them. Merging two or more fields in a report. For example, you could merge action group, subgroup, and action into one field if you wanted to. You would use the ability to do subtotals on the different levels, but you could kind of simplify your display if your needs allowed it. And this has a very simple step-by-step. You can see there's a lot here. Look how small the scroll bar is. So there's a lot of material in here, and it's all step-by-step instructions taking you through these procedures. I wanted to take you into show you what's available for the training area. So again, we go back, this is the main Primo page. Let's go into training, and let's just go into Primo training. Under additional, we go to Primo Analytics. And these are the 6 sessions that are here. And these are all videos prepared by our training staff. And they're very good. Usually they're between like 5 and 10 minutes. Very, very good videos. Here's the scheduling for Classic Primo with the back office. And then let's go back in training here. Primo V. Again, it's under additional Primo Analytics. And these 5 videos are almost identical to the ones in regular Primo. There's a few extra parts unique to Primo V in this one, but otherwise these are the same. These 2 videos here are by Yoel Kordick, and he did some videos with the new OBI data visualization, part of OBI 12 OAS and OAS. These are pretty neat, but I don't have a way just yet to give you my own demo for these, so I can just tell you that these are here. If we go into Alma real quick, and we go into Alma's training, there is an analytics section, and providing reports to other users. This is how to schedule reports in Alma and Primo V, because it's the same exact procedure. And again, this is 10 to 12 minutes long. It's great. Very good video. And also in Alma, go back to the product doc. English, analytics. Let's go into the introduction. That wasn't what I wanted to show all. There's a little bit down here in the bottom about OBI 12 and data visualization. This says that OBI 12 is actually moving to OAS now, and with a link to another article. And this article gives a bigger description as to what's going on with the new OAS implementation. It's currently being tested by a handful of early adopters. Once Alma is all done, they'll, with its implementation, they'll implement it for the Primo V side. Again, here's a link to the developers network for the tech blogs, and then a link to some YouTube videos about OAS. I think 2 of the videos are the ones from the training page. So just a few details here. It's great. So check here. Here's the developer network. A lot of OAS. You can see these are the different tags. So there's some good topics in here as well. I think there's a lot more topics for Alma than there are for Primo, but there are a couple Primo specific topics in here as well. Once again, scheduling from the back office, fill out the fields in the form. It's pretty straightforward, and you can set up a schedule. You can have it email you a PDF or just email you a link to the report itself. Primo V, again, you have to create the object. That's where all the properties are, and then you just go in and tick off the subscribe box. And here we've reached the end of my session. We can take a look at some questions from the chat.
Well, I only see two. The first question was early on in the presentation, somebody asked why you multiplied the formula by 1.0.
Yeah, that was a tricky one. If we don't multiply it by 1.0, it ends up like truncating all the decimal places in the math. I've actually seen this before with some programming languages. You have to do that, and it's because you're doing division on two integers, so it makes the answer be an integer. It's kind of weird. So multiplying it by 1.0 forces it into floating point math, basically, so that your answer can be displayed as a decimal. Even if you extend it to the decimal places without that, you end up getting all 0.00 for things. So the 1.0 uh, was out there. I saw that in some examples, and I had to look it up too, and that's what that's for. I agree. It's not a very intuitive thing to do, but I have a programming background, and I have kind of seen that sort of thing before.
All right, the only other question that came in is somebody asked, how can I craft a report to show how many times a collection in Alma Digital has been accessed from Primo?
Collection in Alma Digital. Let me see if I can see it offhand. Nope, not that one. Collection from Alma Digital. Go back to the subject areas. Let's see. How many times a specific collection was used in Primo, accessed in Primo? I've got to take a look at that. Collection discovery. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to have to come back to it. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
All right, Paul, that's all the questions that we've got.
All right. Well, I thank you all for attending.
Yeah, we thank you, Paul, for sharing. This was an excellent session, and thanks to everybody who has attended. And we hope you got to see some of the other sessions as well. Just a reminder that if you are interested in looking at the recording of this session or any of the other sessions that we did as part of this series, you can find it at the link that I just added into the chat. I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for attending.